Hi, book carriers. Welcome back to another episode. We're so excited. Hi, ladies. How are y'all doing?
Doing good, doing good.
Yes, excited to be here.
Yay!
Yes, so fun. Yes, let's get into it.
Yes, yeah. So we thought that we would do kind of a special episode this time. So we are nearing Onyx Storm releasing. So we know that all of our episodes have been dedicated so far to the Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. And so we wanted to take an opportunity to kind of wrap up the last two and kind of ramp up to Onyx Storm.
That's all I see on TikTok, like all these theories of like Onyx Storm. I think the fandom is like, we're fiending. We're like salivating at the mouth, like, please give us Onyx Storm. We're so excited.
Yes. I think we got spoiled with the Fourth Wing because we were able to be like, all right, finish, pick up the next one.
The other thing that I've noticed too is like with all the TikToks, it's like I think the theories are getting more and more unhinged.
So unhinged.
The longer we have to wait, the longer like it all just like ruminates and like
you're like, what if that one line? Like,
yes.
Yeah, people have been able to go through the books with like a fine-tooth comb at this point, and they're pulling out every little thing. And to Rebecca Yarros' credit, sometimes she does pull out some really big things from those one little bitty clues. So, it's like we're not so far-fetched that we're getting to that point. But I think there was a TikTok, I sent it to y'all.
Is it the one I'm thinking of?
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that was great.
So Rachel on TikTok, if this is you, this is the TikTok that I'm talking about. And, and she says that, the way that Jack is finally going to die is they're just going to shove an orange up, up his bum.
His rear end.
Where the sun don't shine.
There you go.
The sun don't shine. Is where he was going to be his final demise. And I think that was the most unhinged, and I know she's joking, obviously. I think. But she's joking, right? Because it's like, what's it going to take to kill this guy? And but yeah, I think that the fandom's going a little stir crazy.
I don't know if we had planned on talking about Jack at all in the episode too, so I'm glad you brought that up because I know we talked about it last episode, but his freaking words still haunt me. His last sentences of the book, basically, the welcome to our fucked up family. I'm like, ew.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I do not want to be part of this family.
But when you were texting that and I reread it, because you typed it out, I was like, oh, I remember being icked out by it when I read it, but for some reason when you typed it out separate from the rest of the book, I was like, ew, that really was very twisted,
off-putting. Yes.
And I think it was supposed to read that way because I also think about our journey through reading the books and chapters by chapters, and I just remember early on we were all like, oh my gosh, can Jack die please? And it's finally he died. Oh, just kidding, he's still alive. To the very end. He's one of the last characters we read about in Iron Flame.
Oh my god. I'm how did we end the book with this guy? What makes him so special that he's the one that they brought back, but they let Liam just didn't find some miracle? And granted, I know it's because his dragon, so maybe it was unrepairable, but it's still
no.
If you can bring him back, you can bring Liam back. I don't know how, but figure it out.
Yeah. At this point, even if he dies again, I'm still gonna think he's probably gonna make it. I think somehow he's just gonna come back. I don't think he will die. So
he's the
gift that keeps giving.
Yeah. So I think so we kind of thought up some questions and some different talking points. And so the first one that we wrote down is, what quadrant do you think that you would be in if you lived in this realm in this book? Yeah.
And I personally had a very hard time figuring out what I would be because I don't know.
Oh, I don't.
Really?
Yeah, I don't at all for you. I know exactly I know exactly who both of y'all would be.
What?
Jeez.
So this is just to clarify the question. So this is if we're in the Fourth Wing world, which quadrant would we choose to be in or be a part of?
Yes.
Which would we fit most based off of our personalities? Because, each of the characters in their unique quadrants, they definitely, there's some that you can tell that they're born to be there.
So these are the options, right? There's
Yeah.
writers, healers, scribes, infantry, and flyers.
Are we including flyers?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, they
I-
might not be part of the college, but they're an option for people. Yeah. So, okay, so y'all go. Where do you think you would be?
I thought about it a lot because honestly, I feel like an imposter in like definitely not the writer's quadrant. I don't think I have it in me to bond a dragon and do all those physical challenges. Absolutely not. No to that. Even the scribes, I said, I don't know. I just don't feel like I would cut it in the scribe quadrant. So my quadrant I chose was the healer's quadrant. I'm a natural like healer supporter. I'm here for you. You guys go out and you do your thing, and I'll be here to help you. If you need me, I'll put you back together best I can.
Yeah, that's actually exactly where I thought you should be too.
Wow.
Cool. Well, that makes me kind of better because like, yeah, I was like, I think like ideally I would like to be a scribe, but I just don't think that's really me and my personality. I just don't. Maybe I felt like in between those two, the healers and the scribes. Definitely not writer.
That's where I was putting you. I was putting in the scribes.
Yeah, I do. I'm like Hufflepuff Ravenclaw, so it's like half and half. So I feel like that's a good mix there, scribe / healer. More leaning on the healer. I'm a lover, not a hater, not a breaker. So
that's why you're the hopeless romantic book carrier.
That's what I hear.
Not a hater, not a breaker.
Not a breaker of bones. That's not me.
I think you're good at, I think hearing you describe like why you would choose the healers makes sense. Even like in our episodes, whenever Becca and I are debating, like you do such a good job of like mediating and like
bring it together, guys.
Yes. Yeah.
It's okay to have different opinions. Okay. We love each other through it.
And Angela are like, no.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes we're like, I see where you're coming from, but
no.
you're wrong.
Yeah.
And so
we're always civil. All right, Becca, you go. Which quadrant would you find yourself in?
First of all, I want to put a disclaimer on this. I don't belong in any of them. This is not a world that I would do well in, period. Like if there was another option, like to not be in any of them and just be a normal civilian, that is where I would be. Like you know what I mean? Like I own like the leather shop, where they go and like get their flying jackets, or like that's where
I
don't
like that.
Anywhere. But if I had to choose one, if like there was no option, right, and you just get drafted and you got to pick one, I would probably be in the scribe quadrant just because of the writing element of it, and writing and reading. Like if I could do that all day, every day, perfect. But the one reason why it would not do well is that they can't talk. That's like I would die. Like if I could not hear my own voice every once in a while. So like I going through this list, like writer, I would die. There's no way. Like I said it before, one step off the parapet, done. Healer, absolutely not. I don't want to touch, see, or any of that. No way. Infantry, like just shoot me now, because there's no way that's gonna happen. And then the flyers are just as bad as the riders. The only thing with that is that they said that if you fall off, you just get to try again. But I would just be out there all day long trying. Like there would be no success there. So there are no good answers for me. So I'm owning the leather shop. That's where I belong.
Okay, that's fair.
I really like that answer. I never even thought about that. Like, what if I was just can't I just be like your average Joe, like civilian, just an outsider looking in? Can't I just do that?
That's where I belong. That's why I like to read. That's why I like to write, because that is not naturally who I am. And so like when I'm actually trying to put myself and be really true to who I am into the story, I don't belong in that world at all.
Well, I like, see, that's what you're the writer. You made your own, quadrant. You're the leather shop where they all go get their leathers.
I'm like,
that's great.
I'm the dressmaker of this world.
Yeah.
And they are very needed. We need dressmakers. We need
100%. There would be none of the whose flight jacket are you wearing?
Right.
There would be no like she looks so good and all curvy and it fits her perfectly and her writing whatever if there wasn't a good seamstress somewhere, right?
Exactly.
So you're welcome.
I mean, yeah, I would have said scribe hands down.
Mhm.
But you bring up a good point about the talking. That is so difficult. That I don't know how they do that.
The
Well, that's why-
talking, yeah.
Them not
that's
being
why
allowed to talk.
I thought you were gonna say scribe, Cassandra, and that's why I said I think that's what you would think you would go, but you would hate not being able to talk. And like
Yeah.
that's where like that's why I was like, what I think that you think might not be where you actually belong. But you made a perfect point. You would 100% be in the healer quadrant.
I think so.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Angela's a writer and she's Violet just in human form.
Angela needs to go. Angela, what do you think you would be?
No. I'm actually not going to choose a writer. Okay, I'm actually, yeah.
Okay. I'm surprised.
I'm actually in between. I'm in between two. Okay, one, I'm actually in between healer too, because you know,
Okay.
I like to help people. I like to, you know, listen to people, and you know, I like to nurture and blah 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 blah. So yeah, I'm kind of into that too.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be a writer. I would actually maybe want to be a flyer instead.
Mhm.
Because like flyers, they have like the other side, like they have a good balance. Like, you know, they're ruthless and they can fight, they can, you know, but they also have like that sense of humanity, like more humanity than writers do. They're not as ruthless to the point of like wanting to kill each other. Like they kind of avoid death, like they can like support each other. They're more like emotionally open with each other, and their rules are more fair and just, and so that's where I would put myself, like in the flag.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can see it.
I like those answers. You're wrong, but I like those answers. Like,
what am I wrong?
Angela, because I know you better than you know yourself. You would 100%, if you had the option to be the most badass that you can be, that's where you would go.
Yeah. I feel
there
like
would be nothing stopping you from wanting to do that. It's just like okay, like in high school, right? Okay, so we were all in band. Angela had to be drum major. You know what I mean? Like it's like, because that's where you belong. And I think that you would not you would not be a healer. I know that for a fact. Like you would either be a flyer or a writer. And I understand, like, you know, whatever. But if you were thinking like, but they're more like respectable if you're a writer, then that's where you would go. There's no doubt in my mind.
That too. And I could see like us just talking about, guys, what are we going to do? Like, which quadrant are y'all going to go into? I feel like you would be so drawn to the idea of that it's such a unique and special thing to bond with a dragon. And that I feel like would draw you to it.
Yes.
I feel like you would be like, I could totally bond a dragon. Like there's definitely going to be one of them that wants me. And so I feel like that would draw you to it. Me, I'd be like, I don't think anybody would want me. Not, you know, I wouldn't have that. Not like that. Not super. Yeah. No, I'm not being super down on myself, but like, yeah, I'm more like, that's why I was like, yeah, I'll stick to the healer's quadrant. I don't want to take a chance of that rejection of a dragon. I want to be like Jack, you know what I'm saying? Like think that I'm gonna get a badass dragon and then just like get, you know, my world shattered. Like I don't want to have my hopes crushed. So
yeah, that's funny. I mean, I see what y'all are saying, but man, the writers, they just have issues. They like can't trust each other. They have to like always look, you know, they can't, they look behind their back, like anybody can backstab them and like kill them, and they're ruthless, and I don't know.
Okay,
and I'm
but
just
I have a point, because I think we're also thinking about like Violet and who she is and stuff. And I know earlier I feel like you're just Violet in normal form, but you're more like Riorson than anybody that I know, because she's like, you know, she ended up being squad leader, right? Or whatever. Like she moves up in ranks, like she's whatever, and she's not like that. Like she
sticks up for the underdogs and stuff like that.
And like she lives in the world and she protects herself, but she's not the one going out and trying to kill people and trying to whatever. So there are ones like you in the writer quadrant,
Yeah.
I 100% think you would be in the writer quadrant. You would be like a Rhinon.
Yeah, so I'd be like a good one. Like,
Yes.
not somebody who would backstab somebody or kill somebody.
Yeah.
No, and that's how they all are. Like Violet, Rhinon, Riddock, Sawyer, they're all like that.
True.
So
true.
yes, you're a writer. So quit trying to
Mhm.
deny it or go around
Y'all,
it.
y'all are like Violet's mom, just volunteering me.
Yeah.
for writers-
Yeah, for
writers
sure. We
quadrant.
need more writers, so you're in.
Don't you ever compare me to that woman. Oh
She's a
my
great
God.
woman.
Well, that game was fun. That was
Yes.
good question, Cassandra. That was great. So, fellow listeners, we know that we are in the minority, especially viewing some of these videos, that Xaden is loved. He is beloved among the community. He can do no wrong. Some of you are choosing him as your top book boyfriend. We do want to mention that we also love Xaden.
Yes.
Even though he's toxic, zaddy. You know, for some, that's a hot take, but we do know that he does have some redeemable qualities. So we wanted to take some time to talk about what is good about Xaden. What makes Xaden zaddy Xaden?
What is good about Xaden? No, I'm joking. I love Xaden. Oh my gosh. I love him so
That's
much.
such a point though, is that like we do like him, like we do love him. He's a good book boyfriend. He's
Yes.
not the best, but he's a good one.
Yes.
Well, I actually want to say something before we talk about Xaden's redeemable moments. Because
Okay.
I was honestly so surprised when I came across my first TikTok talking about how people didn't like Iron Flame because Violet, the word that kept coming up is that she's whiny, that she is so whiny about like, oh, I can't trust you because of this, or like basically her distrust of Xaden and like everybody. And I was honestly so shocked. I'm like, what? People are annoyed with Violet here. People are like, Violet needs to get over it. Violet needs to understand that this is classified and she just needs to get over it and get with the program. I'm like, I was so shocked.
I said that, where I was like, I would rather like, okay, protect me and let's go do stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's fine with me. I don't have to know everything. You know, I like the knight in shining armor, damsel in distress. That who is who I am. So to me, Violet, it was a little frustrating as the reader, where I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, just relax. Like, he obviously loves you. He's not going to do anything to hurt you. So like, just trust that he's doing what he needs to do and like stop. So for me, it was a little frustrating, but I think as who she is as a character, who she is as a person, it was a little like understandable as to why she needed to know.
I don't think that she was whiny. I think she was justified because she was the one that was forthcoming about her feelings. He was the one that wasn't being forthcoming. His actions showed that he loved her. But I mean, it was so important to him that she say that she loves him, but she couldn't get that reciprocated from him. And so to me, I didn't think that was fair. I don't think that's fair to call her whiny. But you know, now I feel weird saying that because everybody thinks that she was whiny.
And we're already going down our hate.
I know.
Our
I
Xaden
just
hate
here's the thing.
hour. So
I think, and we did say this, I think they're both, you know, they both have a long way to go, you know, or they in the book they had a long way to go. They finally like met each other halfway. But you know, it's all about if you just both are honest about how you feel, if you just are forthcoming about your feelings, we wouldn't have any of this. But then we wouldn't have a book. So
yes.
there's that.
I will say, like how we have said from the beginning, like we felt like they fell in love so fast. So now it's like we have two choices. We either keep them apart and they're not together, and then the frustration and the tension is what keeps the momentum. Or, okay, they're together, but then they have to have miscommunication and issues, or there's nothing to read about in terms of the romance. So it's like, as like a writer, you just don't have that many options to keep that tension. Everybody just needs to calm down. Like Rebecca is doing the best that she can.
Yeah, I think, you know, I think that's what makes him redeemable to me. And since the beginning, I questioned like why wouldn't he say he loved her? And I think there's a lot that explains why. You know, obviously his signet is one. In my opinion, that's a big reason why. But also the fact that he's never been in love with anybody before. I feel like he said that to her. Or I read that in the bonus chapters.
We want to talk about the
dubs.
bonus chapters.
Have we even said what we love about Xaden? Can we just say it?
So yeah, like what is
Okay. All
Poor
right. What do we love
poor
about him?
Xaden.
Well, obviously he's like super hot. He's super hunky.
Yes.
But
Yes.
that's just like hands down. Whatever, you know, he's just like the hottest dude. I have always loved the way he's able to keep cool, and it's so fun in the book to see like how just Violet just makes him lose his cool quite often, and he gets so pissed off about that. But with everybody else, he's just so, I don't know, he just has such a composure to him, and obviously like his signet helps him in that regard.
Yes.
I've always loved that, his clapbacks to people, and just the fact that he's like a leader. He's like, oh, he's a leader. He's a little bit older than, you know, when she enters the scribe, or she enters the quadrants, the writer's quadrant. He's older, and so that was like, I loved that dynamic. Yeah. Is that not enough?
Okay. Is
The
that
way-
enough? Can we move on? Because I'm done talking about. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
He's
saying. Like, I'm
Also,
like.
his actions throughout the entire, like, yes, he doesn't outright say he loves her, but he clearly shows it. He shows it. He drops everything for her. He does everything and anything to keep her safe, and
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
I love you, Xaden.
Okay, yes, I know I gave Xaden so much shit all these episodes just because of his toxicity. But I mean, obviously I love the books and I'm carrying them with pride and joy because I mean, it's such a good story and he's such a good character. And I think my favorite part, two things that I can think of, is like the way that he can banter and his humor that he is able to show with Violet, especially like with the mind reading. And he's just so coy and so playful. And it's so much fun. I can just tell, like, he lets his armor down with her and he has fun with her. And I love to see that. And the other thing you talked about it, Cassandra, too, is like, he's so thoughtful. He's so sweet, even though he's like, I'm not sweet whenever Violet pointed it out, but he is. He's just very thoughtful and like, what can I do for Violet? To something personal for her, something personalized and special. And so that's really sweet that he goes out of his way to do these actions for her. It's love. It's love.
Yes. Yeah. Xaden's love language is gift giving.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it might not
It's
be
not,
the
it's not
words.
words of affirmation.
Right.
It's obviously not quality time because the man would just take off and whatever. I mean, it's his love language is gift giving. So I mean, you know, like the daggers, the saddle, you know.
Yeah, would you say it's like acts of service? Like,
I love acts of service.
I love acts of service. Yeah,
the knots. Whenever he gave her like that knot, the Tyrish knot for her to practice her runes. Yeah, like that's so thoughtful and like helpful.
Yes, yeah. I think that just from like a writer's perspective, what I like about Xaden is that he's not like, and everybody loves like the grumpy sunshine trope, right? Like they love the guy who like has to have a character arc, right? He has to like have growth. He has to whatever. And I love that because this is going to be a 5-book series. I love that for the first 2 books, we're like, he's toxic. Like he he has a long way to go, but we have a lot of book left. Like we have a lot of series left. And so I do love that he's redeemable enough to where we love him, but he still has just like so far to go. So I'm interested to see. I know at the end, like, you know, he turned, spoiler, you should not be listening to this episode, by the way, if you haven't read. So I'm not even going to say spoiler. If you're listening to this and you haven't read them, then that's on you. But he turns venom or whatever, right? So like we're going to have a long way to go, like to redeem back. But like I love that he's not perfect. And that he's not like, because there's a way to write a perfect villain, right? But he's not even a perfect villain. He's somewhere in the middle. Can't think of another book or another series that we would talk this much about the male love interest. But he has been such a focal point. And I think that speaks to like his character and where we could go from here. So, you know, as much as toxic as he is, that's made it a damn interesting story.
But I think that's so true, Becca. Like literally we've read the first 2 books in a 5-book series. Like he's he has to start somewhere, and it's at the most toxic level, and he's gonna go up from here. I mean,
I don't want to compare to Akatar, especially I don't think, Cassandra, you haven't read
La la
Akatar
la la
yet,
la 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 la. Don't tell me.
but everybody knows the main character that I'm thinking of. And like,
Here, let me just disconnect.
I was like, you can't
Okay.
even say the name.
No, I can't.
Don't say
You
it, Becca.
can't.
Don't say
Okay,
it.
never mind.
Yeah,
Never
don't.
mind.
We just
No,
gotta read
never
that
mind.
one next.
mhm.
If we did Akatar, Cassandra, you would not be able to get on any social media at all.
I've been seeing it. I've been seeing it, and I just go.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, keep swiping.
There are characters in different series that like they're just like they play the villain, but they don't have a character arc. Like they just kind of are who they are. We don't like we see a lot of growth in the main female character. And that's what the
Mm.
book's about. But this like is so interesting and it's done so differently because they both have so much growing and growth to do, and they're trying to do it at the same time. Give Xaden some credit.
Yeah, Xaden's been through some trauma, and so he's a traumatized boy. He's going through a lot.
Like we, as soon as we meet him, we find out about his family history and stuff like that. Like he's got a lot. Poor baby.
Yes.
I
Poor
love him.
baby's daddy Xaden.
He's my baby Xaden.
Poor baby's daddy.
My
But-
hopeless romantic heart just beats so hard for him for sure. I get angry at him, and I think that's fair. I think I'm allowed to.
Yeah, we're not excusing his toxic
Exactly.
behavior. We're understanding, but we're holding him accountable, and
Okay.
we're not blaming Violet for being.
Yes, like come on. There's two parties here,
Yes.
so
Yes.
let's be
Yes.
fair.
Even though like I was one of those people that was a little like, okay, girl, like you're a little whiny, but I am not well. You know what I mean? So it's like a normal person should be asking those questions, but like an unwell, like unhinged kind of toxic person myself, like I would be like, okay, whatever, like that's fine. Like just lead me wherever I need to go and I'll be fine. So, even though I agree with that take, it's not the take that we should have. So.
But ultimately, we love Xaden, and
Yeah.
we love. I'm so excited to see what the next book brings.
So we're okay with Xaden. We did have some redeeming things to say about him.
Yes.
So we wanted to also, speaking of Xaden, talk a little bit about the bonus chapters that came out in his point of view.
First of all, I had no idea there were even bonus chapters. I wouldn't have known. Like we just found out, I think, a week ago
Mhm.
Yes.
about them, and I think
Yes.
that's pretty crazy. I wonder about the rest of like the fandom too. Like, are they in the same boat? Are there people that just don't know that they exist? There's not much on TikTok about them, about the
Mhm.
bonus chapters
No.
at all.
I think
At least
like you
on
have to
mine.
follow like Rebecca Yarros on Instagram. I
Yeah.
think that people that follow her and had that notice probably knew, but if you're not that deep into it, then you probably wouldn't know.
I think there's a huge spectrum of the fandom. Like there are people who are reading Fourth Wing for the first time, a couple of weeks before the Onyx Storm release, or there's people who, have all the notifications on. Like even talking about the Onyx Storm blurb. That blurb at the end of the book. People have been talking about that and like creating content about that because it's actually really
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah.
So I think it's a whole spectrum of where
Yes.
the fandom is.
Yeah, I think the true fans knew. The true fans knew. The true fans went out and bought the next edition so they could have that extra chapter and yada yada, which I have thoughts
Right.
on. I
Do you
think
want-
that if you went out and bought another edition, you're crazy. I think that I'm sorry, but it's too much. Okay, like you cannot release a new edition with new content and expect your fans. I'm talking about the publishing company, okay? Rebecca Yarros is innocent in this. I think it's a publishing company thing, right? Like
For
they
sure.
make you release so many editions. They make you have to have some sort of incentive for people to go buy the new editions. Rebecca Yarros, to her credit, she put the bonus chapters on her website for free. You can go on there and download them. But that's what I think everybody should have done. Unless you were an absolute diehard fan. But the publishing company makes you think you got to go out and buy these books, buy these new editions to get the next point of views. And I think that is so sad. The people who believed in the book when it first came out, because they picked it up off a shelf, there was no huge following yet. They just saw the book. They said, this is something I want to read. and they bought it and they read it, and it's been sitting on their shelf ever since. And they're just patiently awaiting for Onyx Storm. But now these people are robbed of the experience of having that bonus chapter sitting pretty in their book with content that is pertaining to the next book. It is relevant, and they don't get that. You have to go out and buy something new if you want it to sit on your shelf. And you don't want to have to go and download a PDF from a website to print out and stick in your copy. I mean, it's so frustrating for everybody else, and I do not like it. I think it's an awful thing to do. Call me a pessimist, call me a whatever, maybe tell me to chill out. It's not that big of a deal, but I think on the greater scale, it is a bigger deal. And I think that we can go down the road of consumerism and everything else that goes along with it. And I think it's a cheap shot. And for the people like us that aren't so heavily down the rabbit hole, that didn't even know, we would have gone into Onyx Storm not knowing some of the information that we found out by getting these bonus chapters. And I think that that's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, because I had it on my phone, I guess the Kindle version or the, books version, and it wasn't on that version. I bought the physical copy so that I could do some notes and rereading, and it is there, and I'm thankful that they're there, so I got to read them. But what if I hadn't bought that physical copy? I wouldn't know this, because honestly, I think there's a lot of information that comes from these chapters. There's 3 chapters, guys, and there's just so much context that comes from these. Starting with the first one, which we all read.
Yeah, the monster outpost. Yeah, it's whenever they win the squad challenge, and so they get to go visit this outpost, and then Xaden isn't supposed to be there, but he shows up because I think initially the idea was because Taryn and Sigale, because of their bond and needing to be close together. But
we find out from the chapter that that's not even the reason that he was there. He's there for a run. And that's but that's so frustrating, because he says the tippy top reason is that the dragons can't be apart, right? But the reader is supposed to suspect that it's actually Xaden can't keep away from Violet, right? That's kind of the underlying thing. That's what we're thinking is probably happening, is that he wants to be there close to her too. And that's not even the reason. He's there for a run.
I got that he really, the real reason that he wanted to be there was because he wanted to be close to Violet, because he's having that conversation with Sigale, that mind conversation, and she's like, sure, it's because we can't be apart. Taryn and I can't be apart. Sure, it's because you're going to do this run. Sure. And she's baiting him. She's like, oh, really? Is that the reason? She's teasing him because he really does love her. I think he actually does say it.
Yes.
Right? He actually says it. Whereas in the book, he insinuates it quite a bit, that he just almost can't live without her and stuff like that. But he never really actually says it. But he actually says it in this chapter, which that's all we ever wanted. As readers, that's all we ever wanted. That's why we had so much toxic Xaden hate to begin with. And if I had had this bonus chapter, then maybe I wouldn't have been so pissed. Okay.
But I also think, with these bonus chapters, yes, but it's something entirely new because it's from Xaden's POV. We never get to see Xaden's POV at all. So we have no idea what's going on in his mind. We have no idea what his true intentions are. But obviously with his own POV, then we're going to get to hear his inner dialogue and his intentions and how he truly feels.
There's so much information that we get from them that is just so good, so juicy. And I know that you guys didn't get to read the other chapters. There's a common thread. Anytime Dane is involved, he is so annoyed, throughout. So in this chapter, he's definitely annoyed, and he tries to set him up to make him look dumb multiple times. Especially I don't know if, I feel like this is in the second chapter where we talked about how they were at threshing. She had just come from having her 2 dragons, bonding with the 2 dragons, and Dane is so upset. He's so butthurt that she's got 2 dragons and that she's tied to Xaden. And
wait, is that his POV? After she's bonded. So whenever Dane and Violet kiss, we see it. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to read it.
Yes, so he gets jealous. And he's like, am I jealous? Is this jealousy? Is that what this feeling is? And even Garrick kind of pokes fun at him too, because he can tell he's got a thing for Violet. In his world and his group of people, it's kind of the same as like Violet with her friends, that like, you know, they're like, girl, yes, we know you're in love with Xaden. Like, we all know. Same for all of his friend group. They all know that he's in love with her. And even like there's a little like, he questions whether he should assign Liam to her. He's like, can I trust Liam to not like do anything? And like he's very overprotective and jealous, and I love it. I'm here for it. He's like, she's mine. She's my only mine. Only mine. I trust I can trust Liam to not like overstep that boundary. And it's funny because you do see some of that jealousy, like when she's wearing Bodhi's jacket in the book. So it's like, it's true to his character. It's true. Like he's been thinking those things the entire book. Before we move on, I had to quote what he says about Dane. He's so funny talking about Dane. I wish I kind of had this. He's like, I scoff, fucking rule-loving coward. He doesn't deserve to breathe the same air as violence. So like, you know, he's just so like, he hates him so much.
That one was so funny. He doesn't deserve to breathe the same air as violence.
Oh my
He
gosh.
likes to see them as like a little gnat. Like that's
Yes.
like what I just imagine. He's just
every
so
time,
annoying.
yeah, every time he's talking about like when Dane talks or Ados talks, it's a whine to Xaden. It's like Ados whines, Dane whines. His whiny voice. He says, damn, Ados still hasn't answered. That's unfair to ask him. Sorengale walks straight up to me, putting herself beside Ados as the rhythmic beat of dragon wings fill the air. Guess the Empyrean has made its choice, so they'll have to let her bond with both dragons. And then he says, I'm ordering you to answer, squad leader. I lock my gaze on his. Come on, show her who you really are. Ados swallows so obnoxiously loud that I can hear it, then squeezes his eyes shut. No, I wouldn't have. Because they're arguing about, like, would you have stepped in to save Violet
At Threshing.
at Threshing? And he's like, no. He basically says no, he wouldn't have. And in Xaden's POV, he's like, I totally would have. I would have done it. You know, he's a loser, basically. He's setting him up to look like a loser. It's like after that, they go off and he's like, wait, are they kissing? Oh my gosh, ew. He's jealous. So I don't know. I just love that he has all these details. And so like you notice too, I wanted to point this out too, that the way that he is able to like pick up on his little like habits, his little like the fact that he swallowed so hard, his point of views show that he not only has that signet ability, but he is a good, like he can just pick up on people just based off of their actions. Like he can read people well just in general. So I really like that. But then our third chapter, ladies, you gotta read it. It's the sparring session. Oh my gosh. So it's the whole scene with the daggers, right? He's disarming her one by one. He's trying to make it like a teachable moment, but he cannot help himself. Like he is getting so turned on by it. Like he is. There's a little moment where like he points out that she gets like, she has her legs like wrapped around his chest or wrapped around him, but he can feel her legs like clench around him, and he notices it, and he's like, oh crap, she's clenching her legs around me. Oh my gosh. And then she finally like lets go, and he's like, oh thank God she did that. Like it's so spicy, guys. You gotta read it.
I can't wait to read it because, like, when you're reading that scene from her point of view, you feel like he's so in control and she's losing it. So I'm excited to read it. Yeah, I need to read it. Yeah. Okay.
I think there was another theory, Becca, that you had brought up about Brennan, and you were thinking like Brennan is evil.
Oh yeah, I think that Brennan is the perfect person to fall. Right? I think that he is somebody who is on the inner of the inner circle. He was capable of keeping his death from his family. The death of him led to the grief and the heartbreak of their father and killed him. And I think too, like there are so many excerpts from, you know, he gave his book to Mira, and Mira gave his book to Violet of his journaling from whenever he was in the college. And there were so many things talking about like power and like, nobody is really your friend. Nobody, like, he was so tactical with that type of thought that I think that that's something that is probably who he is at his core, and probably is still what he's thinking now is like, I'm not really your friend. I'm not really your ally. Like, I think that's still who he is. And I think that the fact that we have excerpts from him, like there's a reason why.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's going to be right. The only thing I can think of that kind of supports that is I actually brought the quote in one of our episodes as like a funny moment. And at the time, I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was fluff. It was the part whenever Violet first finds out and they're about to go back to the war college. And there's this tiny, tiny moment where Sigale growls at Brennan. Sigale is like, and Violet makes that joke of like, oh, don't worry, like Sigale doesn't like anybody, although I'm growing on her. And Sigale is like a tumor. Like that was the quote that was funny to me. But she growls at Brennan. Like there's a reason. So there's like animosity there. And I just like overlooked it. I was like, okay, whatever. It's just a funny moment. Sigale doesn't like anybody. But I think there's more to that.
Yes. Okay. Two important things. Okay. But one of them was that Jack Barlow, Amber, and Varish, all bad guys, right? They were all bonded to orange dragons, and so is Brennan. And the other one, this is like what Trinity, if this is you, Trinity. I'm reading your TikTok right now because she said that is this foreshadowing about Brennan betraying friends. So this is from the Book of Brennan. It's one of the like top areas of the chapter, and it says, winning the war games isn't about strength, it's about cunning. To know how to strike, you have to understand where your enemies, your friends, are most vulnerable. No one stays friends forever, Mira. Eventually, those closest to us become our enemies in some way, even if it's through well-intentioned love or apathy, or if we live long enough to become their villains.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, he has all the makings to end up being, I don't know in what capacity he's going to turn or what he's going to do that's going to make his evil come out, but he's going to be the one that falls.
Right, because at this point, we're led to believe that his one true priority is this revolution.
Right.
He's like, I'm not going to risk saving people in Basgiath for this revolution. I don't really care about whether they live or die. His intentions are all for that, for the cause, for the purpose. And that's why him and Xaden get along so well, is because that's before Violet, that was his priority as well.
There's something about him that's off. And I think we're supposed to feel that. So
I do.
It's really interesting. Well, I know we talked at the beginning of Iron Flame, right? And we all know, like, love my dedications, right? And we read that she was dedicating this book to the zebras. And we said, what in the world does that mean? And we were curious and we knew it must be important, right? But we didn't know what it was. We thought maybe the book would explain it. But Angela, you actually figured out what it was. So
yeah. And it was actually because of a TikTok. Of course, TikTok, man.
Yeah. What did we do before? What will we do if TikTok gets banned?
Exactly.
It is the new Google. For sure.
Yeah. But this TikTok comes from at hacking.jenny, Jeny. So she talks about EDS and like hypermobility and she journals about like her chronic illness. And so that includes EDS, which is what Becca, the fact that you brought to us is that Rebecca Yarros has EDS as well as her family.
And I do want to have a disclaimer. In that time when I was talking about that, I think I called it a disability, and that probably was not the right or correct word to say. And I do want to say my daughter has cerebral palsy, and so I immediately say disability, I think, just off the top of my tongue. That's not what it is, a chronic illness. Yes, a chronic illness. So I am sorry for anybody that has EDS and I said the wrong classification of that. I do apologize, but yes, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. But yes, so this TikToker actually referenced this physical therapist who wrote this book called Tame the Zebra. And so zebra is actually is a symbol for EDS. It's like they use it in their community. And I actually had to Google this, and it says the zebra is a symbol of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and hypermobility spectrum disorder because it represents the unexpected. So it talks about how EDS is very hard to diagnose at times and doctors don't expect it. so they don't look for it. So it gets misdiagnosed often and often and often. And so that's why it's called like a zebra, because you have to look for the unexpected. So doctors have to look for the unexpected, just like zebras. On Google, it said something like, the zebra is a symbol of the unexpected because no two zebras have identical stripes, just as no two people with EDS or HSD are the same.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's
So
great.
when she dedicates it's Iron Flame, right? She dedicates
Yes,
Iron
yeah.
Flame for my fellow zebras. Like, not all strength is physical. So she's talking about like the EDS community, which is just so great.
I love that.
beautiful.
I love the nod to that. And I
Yes.
like to I like that, you know, we didn't have that context and we didn't know, but those who have it, you know, they knew right away.
Yes.
And it's
Yeah.
special. It's just it's special. It's just for them.
Yes.
I think that's really great. I did want to point out, I was looking for it. In the reread that I've been doing of Fourth Wing, it came up, not all strength is physical. Which that was in her dedication. It comes up at the beginning of the book. It's Professor Kaori, and he's talking to Violet about Brennan and Mira and about, you know, what they did and their accomplishments. And then he said, but you're smart. Don't forget that. Because she's like, you know, being smart's not going to help me in threshing. And he's like, not all strength is physical, Violet. And so there's another little nod to that.
Yes.
It's really nice.
Yes. I love it. And that's why I love dedication so much, because sometimes it's point blank and it's like, to my mom and dad, thank you for everything, or to, you know, so to my husband or to whoever, to my wife. And I think that, you know, those are beautiful, of course, but the dedication is the author at their true form, who they really want to thank, who they really want this to be impactful for. And I think that it's such an insight to the author as a person, and good for Rebecca Yarros, bringing attention to it, intertwining it into her character, and doing it in a powerful way without taking away. Like, it's not like, oh, she gave Violet some magical power to where she suddenly doesn't have it. No, like she has to work through it just like people do on a normal day-to-day basis. And I think that was just such a great thing. And so, Angela, whenever you brought that up, I was like, oh my gosh, that's wonderful.
Thank you to TikTok.
Yeah.
Thank you, TikTok, for everything. Yes. Okay.
Yep.
We're wrapping up. Let's do a new F, Marry, Kill.
Oh my gosh.
Or the much, much more clever way of doing Kiss, Marry, Malek. Malek? Malek?
Graphic audio here. Malek.
Malek, thank you.
Malek.
Okay, so Kiss, Marry, Malek, because I think that's so clever and I wish that I had thought of it, but I didn't. So, you know, kudos to TikTok and whoever created that filter.
Yeah, that's really brilliant, really smart.
But this is a nod to like our first
Live.
episode.
Yes. Yeah, if you're an OG listener, then you remember us
for
doing
a full 8-9 episodes.
Yes, for a full
This is
9
for
episodes.
you.
Yes, this is for you. We are dedicating this game to you, and we are so thankful for you and for coming along this ride with us. We have had so much fun, and so let's take it all the way back and let's do it up. Now that we have all the characters and all the information, who would you kiss? Who would you marry? And who would you Malek?
Oh, I don't
or
know.
send to Malek, I guess.
I was like, commend their souls to Malek.
So I would send Jack to you know what? Yeah, he's who because he's still there. Because I was gonna say Professor Professor, the one that tortured her.
Varish.
Oh yeah. He's dead.
Yeah, but he's already gone. So
he's gone. He doesn't count, I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really wanted that to be your answer, I think
it'd be fine.
It'd be fine.
All right, Becca. No, Rebecca, you have to start. So who would you kiss?
Everybody's gonna expect me to say Dane on one of these, but if I had to choose between all of them, he would not be on my top of my list. I think, honestly, you know who I think would be a really good time?
Who?
Bodhi.
Okay.
I would kiss Bodhi or Garrick, either one. Like, I love like a fun, like, side hot character, like underrated. It's like in Greek, like Cassandra and I, whenever we watched Greek, like we loved Beaver. you know, like it's like
Yeah.
for those that get it, you know. I mean, it's like we love like, you know, the hunky, funny side character. Like give me a night with them, that's fine. So I would say Bodhi for that. I would marry Riddock, like honestly. Like
Really?
because we would have so much fun and we would just be like we'd be giggling and just like having the best time all the time. And that's somebody I want by my side for forever. And then Jack, I would kill.
No surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see it. I could see Bodhi or Garrick. I could see that for sure. Especially when they were describing them on the mat and everybody was just like drooling over Xaden. And I think it was Garrick or maybe it was Bodhi. I can't remember. But either way, I'm sure they're both hot.
Yes. Oh, I'm sure. Yes.
All right, I'll go. So I would kiss Xaden because, you know, he's a fun time, but he's a little toxic right now. So I don't necessarily want to be married to him just yet. By book 5, I'll probably be married to him.
Mm-hmm.
So kiss Xaden. I would marry Arik/Cam.
Oh.
So you can be Ween.
Exactly.
And this is coming from the girl who
she's
said
like-
that she wanted to be a flyer instead of a writer. Like, girl, like, bye. Like, oh, there's some like power involved, or there's some like, okay, yes,
Oh my
that
god.
tracks. Okay.
No, but technically Arik is not going to become king, right? He said
Okay,
like,
so a princess.
There's still a chance.
right?
And that's what matters to you.
You get all the perks, but not like all the pressures that come with like ruling a kingdom.
That is such a you answer. I never would choose Arik ever.
No. How we're gonna fight again on another kiss, marry, kill? Like,
No.
I'm done.
Hey, at least she's not gonna kill him. Maybe she is gonna. Are you gonna kill him?
No.
Okay.
We're not having that
I'll
argument
accept it.
again. You cannot marry and kill the
So
same person.
funny. Wait,
Yeah.
but why wouldn't y'all marry Arik? Like, what's wrong with him?
We don't know
I
enough
don't
about
know.
him.
That's
I don't know if you want to
me.
marry him.
He's like the top of his class. He's a prince. He's what's not to like? He's handsome.
Honestly, that is totally like
That
my-
is so true. Yeah, it's really true.
that
I
is-
just wouldn't
that
think
changed
of
my
it.
answer.
That's what I'm
Actually-
saying. Is like she's picking out all those details. I never would have thought of that.
You're
Ever.
so right.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah, I don't mean it in a bad way. I think that's a great answer. I just never would have chosen him.
that is a really great answer.
Yeah, that's
He's a
amazing.
prince. What's not to like? You know
Yes.
what is not to like?
He's
Yes.
handsome. He's courageous. He's loyal to Violet. He's
Yeah. I
Yeah.
can see it.
Yeah,
so
I
funny.
totally get that. That's such a new answer though, for you to see that and think that. But
So then I would send to Malek. I don't know. I mean, I guess Jack. I really can't think of anybody else. Jack needs to die, and he better die at the end of this series. For sure.
yes.
I better break out those oranges pretty quick.
Yes.
All right, shove it up.
All right,
Oh
go.
my
Cassandra.
gosh.
All right, Cassandra, who would you kiss?
I'm still gonna be kissing on Xaden for sure. I just y'all, my house, my chair, my woman. Come on.
Mhm.
Come on. I mean, he does have
Yeah.
his moment. I'd have to do some training and be like, hey, settle down a bit. Quit taking pillows from me.
Leave me my pillows.
Like I said, I'm a fan of the more gentle, loving,
Okay.
but still, he's good. I choose Xaden. For my Mary, I have a twofold answer. Like if my first answer is not acceptable, then
Are you gonna say Taryn again?
no.
Okay. I can't do that again either.
I'm gonna say I would marry Liam. But
Oh,
he's dead.
I forgot about
That's
Liam.
fitting. Yes.
Yeah, but he's dead, so I didn't know if it counted. So if that didn't count, then I would say Taryn.
That-
You just said you weren't gonna say him again.
Well, I wasn't. I if Liam is acceptable, I
Oh.
know.
Neither
Oh my
of them
gosh,
are
could you-
acceptable. You can't marry Liam because he's dead.
No,
And you can't marry Tyrion because he's a dragon.
I would
Can you
so marry
Somebody
Liam.
who's-
Oh my gosh. Liam. I would so marry Liam. Like, I would be that side character and we would have the most beautiful, like, short romance before he died. And it would just kill me. And I would see his ghost, like Violet, like, and I would just be a widow.
Oh,
yeah.
I
Well,
guess
this
you can
took
be
a
a
really
widow.
sad turn.
Well, because that's it. That's how much I love Liam. I love him so much. I think he would be such a good partner. He would make me cute little, like, wood carvings. Oh, and he's kind of like David. David makes, he makes those 3D prints. Yeah, he makes those 3D prints. So cute and so sweet.
Yes.
I love Liam. But yeah, if Liam wasn't acceptable, I was gonna say obviously Taryn. I'm still a Taryn stan, and I'm not ashamed of it. He's amazing.
Okay.
You can say Liam. I support you. You can say Liam. So who are you gonna send?
To Malek.
Mm-hmm.
So my first answer was Mom. Rest in peace, Mom. I would not send her to Malek. I would not. My answer has changed, and it's changed to Dane.
Oh.
Okay. I think you guys.
He looked at my square so pointedly right now. Like,
Miss,
I would choose Dane.
Dane. And I'm not ashamed of that either. Dane, I don't trust him.
I get it. I get the Dane hate. I just know in real life.
Well, here's the reason why. I have to give a reason why. Like, I can't just leave it there. If Liam is my husband, I am totally blaming Dane.
Sure.
Not forgiving. Yeah, not forgiving him. And then, like, if Violet and I were friends, I'd be like, icky. Did you just let Dane kiss you? Disgusting. Gross. So yeah, that's where I'd be.
Fair.
Great answers.
Yeah, I think so.
Somewhat from everybody.
What do you mean?
They were all following the rules this time.
No, they weren't.
Yes,
No.
I think so.
Okay.
they were.
See, this is where Dane and I are so similar. I'm like, you have to follow the rules.
Exactly.
See? This is why.
So I guys get along.
Okay.
Love it.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I'm excited for Onyx Storm. It can't get here fast enough. 42 days, but we've got stuff to look forward to, right?
Yeah. 42 days as of recording today. But when y'all are listening to this, we're gonna go to the midnight release party, so we'll have the book in our hands. Yes, that night. And so I'm super excited to go to the midnight release party. It's gonna take us back to our Harry Potter high school days.
Oh my goodness. Yes. My mom and my sister would take us, and we would pre-order and all go at midnight and just had the best time. And I do want to say that this Fourth Wing reread and everything has been so special to me because my mom, I don't know how you would know, but my mom passed away last year, and the Fourth Wing was the last book that she ever read. And so there was a long time that I didn't read Iron Flame because I just couldn't bring myself to. I was like, how do I continue the series knowing that she'll never get to? And so I want to thank this podcast and just this opportunity because it really gave me a reason and a push to finish it. And now going to this midnight release party for the book, like she used to always do with us. And, she would go and then she'd wake up and go to work the next morning. I mean, she was just so supportive of what was important to us and is still important to us. I mean, look at us, we're now in our 30s and we still are wanting to go do it. So she was always just so supportive. So I kind of feel like this is in a way of honoring her in a way. And so I'm so stoked. We used to do this and had so much fun then. Gonna have so much fun now. I'm excited to see. My gut is telling me it's going to be the same type of vibe as it was then. And it's when you're a reader, and that's who goes out at midnight. The new book, like the best of the best. And so I'm excited.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Becca, about your mom and sharing her with the listeners. And so much love to your mom because we were all there growing up together and she was like our second mom for sure. So I say this podcast, these episodes are dedicated to her. And
such a full, I just love it. It's like a full circle moment, and you can have these memories, like these good memories, and still keep her with us in that way. Like she's definitely gonna be like there with us, just like she was with Harry Potter. Just such core memories that we made and that we're continuing to make. It's beautiful.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And she loved the book too. And that's what I think is so fun about all of this, is that like we're enjoying this so much. And there are going to be books that we're going to cover on this podcast that we're going to read, and we're going to be like, what in the world did we just read? Or that was awful. Or like, did we carry it or throw it away? Well, I threw it away. But for this book, like she loved it. And so it's been so fun to cover a book and a series that she loved and kind of continue on with it. So yeah.
So thank you so much to our listeners for hanging with us and being with us on this journey. And we can't wait to read Onyx Storm and to see you all back on these next couple of episodes.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Book Carriers.
We hope you enjoyed diving into this week's read with us as much as we did.
Thank you so much for joining us on this literary adventure. Your support means the world to us.
If you loved today's episode, don't forget to follow us on social media for updates, behind-the-scene fun, and more bookish content.
And if you're feeling generous, please rate our podcast 5 stars. Your reviews help other book carriers find us and join our growing community.
Remember, we'll be back with a new episode every week, catching up on our latest read.
Until next time, keep reading and living those amazing stories.
Bye for now.
Happy reading.
I've been called to the